Welcome back to the Team to Beat Miami Heat podcast. My name is Amir. Before I get started, just want to thank everybody for supporting the podcast on Spotify. I want to thank everybody for subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you are watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. So, for today's episode, I want to talk about an article I read saying that the Miami Heat are not shopping Jimmy Butler. So, we all know that during this offseason, Jimmy Butler was going to be expecting to receive a multi-year extension, which he was eligible to sign on July 7th. So prior to that in June, there was debate whether the Miami Heat were going to offer him that extension, even though Pat Riley said that he was going to wait and see and possibly even wait until next season to see how Jimmy Butler plays, to see how healthy he is before he offers that extension. And so we know Jimmy Butler has 2 years left on his current contract, with the final year being a player option. So that means the Miami Heat are only guaranteed to keep Jimmy Butler in South Beach until the end of next season. And so there were reports saying again that Miami were going to wait and see, as Pat Riley, as I mentioned, said that. And there were reports early on before Jimmy was eligible for the extension that he wanted to stay with Miami, and two, him and his agent were going to ask for that extension on July 7th, for that max deal. But it didn't come to that. And Jimmy agreed that, hey, that's fine. Like, I'll play next year and we could revisit and, renegotiate this subject. Um, but then there was a lot of rumors that flied out, that popped up when Miami said they were going to take a wait and see approach to give Jimmy his extension. There was a lot of rumors that the Miami Heat could trade Jimmy Butler, as a lot of teams don't allow their stars to leave without recouping some sort of asset. Or there was rumors that Jimmy Butler would demand a trade, get disgruntled because he wasn't offered that extension, and the Miami Heat were going to be forced to trade him, which means the Heat would have had less leverage, as folks would have known that Jimmy wanted to leave Miami immediately, so teams could have lowballed him, the Miami Heat. But um, nonetheless, the Heat, reportedly put their they put their foot down and they're keeping Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy's okay with that. Um, but again, as I was saying, that there's rumors and speculation that teams were interested in Jimmy Butler if the Miami Heat were not willing to give them an extension. Teams like the Sixers came out, and teams like the Rockets and Warriors basically came out saying that, hey, we would trade for Jimmy Butler and we would also give him that extension as soon as they acquired him. And Barry Jackson wrote recently, Butler originally wanted an extension from the Heat this summer, but then changed his mind after Miami did not offer one. He now intends to play out this season and not sign an extension with any team, and will become a free agent in the summer of 2025. The Heat is not shopping Butler, according to a source, wrote Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald. So I think it's interesting. Um, this maybe puts to bed that the Miami Heat would be willing to trade Jimmy Butler this offseason. We know we have plenty of summer left. It's only July. So there are a few months until the season starts. And so I guess we could put it to bed that the Miami Heat won't be shopping Jimmy Butler, but that can't always be true. Just what you say out in the media doesn't always necessarily stand true. We saw with the Brooklyn Nets basically saying we're not going to trade Mikal Bridges after multiple teams reached out, like the Utah Jazz and a few others. And 3 days later, he was traded to the New York Knicks for 5 first-round draft picks. So, like, I don't believe everything that the media says or that reporters say or that even front offices or organizations say. So that could change, but it seems very unlikely that anybody is going to become available where the Miami Heat are willing to go completely young and go in a rebuild, a soft rebuild, by getting rid of Jimmy Butler and putting the franchise in Bam Adebayo's hands. So I don't see that happening at all. But that doesn't mean that we can't trade Jimmy Butler mid-season before the February trade deadline. So this article, doesn't really surprise me at all. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting year to see how Jimmy performs. Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to play more than 65 games? He's never played more than 65 games in a Miami Heat uniform. So he's in a contract year. He's going to be 35 in September before the season starts in October. So is Jimmy going to have a career year? Is his points going to go up from 20 points per game to 23, 24? Like, is he going to be more aggressive, more active on both ends of the floor? Is he going to be healthy enough, like I said, to play more than 65 games to help elevate this Miami Heat team from an eighth seed, from the play in, and hopefully allowing us to become, a top six team so we can completely avoid that play in and have an easier path in the playoffs, even though being a six seed is not an easy path because you need to be a top three team to win a championship. Um, Otherwise, it almost never happens. So, either way, though, if you can prove that he could play during the regular season, stay healthy, carry this Miami Heat team, then Jimmy Butler is going to get his money. I don't know if that's going to be with the Miami Heat or if that's going to be with another team, but it's going to be an interesting um, season next year for Jimmy Butler and for the Miami Heat's front office to see what he can do and whether or not they're willing to give him that 2-year extension for that same price that he was looking for at age 36, at age 37. Because again, the older you get, Father Time is victorious and Father Time never loses. So if Jimmy's missing 20 games on average per season, um, in his 20s and his early 30s, like imagine him in his late 30s. So, um, yeah, again, not surprised that the Miami Heat are not trying to trade Jimmy Butler this offseason at this point. It is what it is. The team is running it back effectively with the same core, if you will, with Jimmy Bam and Tyler. I think that's what folks mean when we say run it back. It's with that big three. But of course, we have Terry Rozier now back in the mix, as he's going to be healthy enough to join training camp, which is a good sign after he had that neck injury at the end of last season where he missed the playoffs. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting season, guys. It's going to be a quiet offseason at this point now that the Miami Heat are $1 million below the second apron. So it looks like we're going to not really make any moves unless it's through a trade. And I don't see any trades happening this offseason. So, anyway, that's all I have for today's episode. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys have a good day.